What is up, guys? Citizen JV, and this is going to be something entirely different from my normal commentary video game videos that I've been making for the past few months. And this is going to be about Skyrim per se, and I feel like I've always wanted to do something like this for quite some time, really, because it just, for me, I feel like it just needs to be addressed. Yes, it's going to be maybe somewhat opinionated, more so, maybe, I don't know, but let's just get into the whole thick of things here. The reason why I play Skyrim more often than not, rather than any other open world games out there, a la, like Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, or Monster Hunter World, which is a really good game, but overall, I think when it comes to open world games, I love those genres as it were. Whether if they are a first-person shooter open world, or action-adventure open world, like Assassin's Creed, like Elder Scrolls, like Fallout. But when it comes to Skyrim, there is just something about this game that really just resonates with me so much. And I think the reason why is because it's the Nordic. It's in Skyrim. It's part of the world of Tamriel. And I love the lore of these games, whether if it's Morrowind, whether if it's Oblivion, or whether if it's Elder Scrolls Online, or Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, I might add. But however, this whole entire world of this game, the whole entire crux of these games, other than Skyrim, just have a unique sense of awe. It's jaw-dropping through its own unique way. I love the gameplay mechanics. I love the artistic design. I love the whole entire world of these games, as it were, and as itself, because of what these games are. It's how these games really tell a unique type of story, whether if it's through side quests, whether if it's through the main quest. But however, I think what really makes Skyrim for me even more cool, other than, I did play a little bit of Oblivion back in the day. I did play a little bit of Morrowind, but I can't really recall of how I wanted to describe of what I truly thought about those games, because I did not play both of those games equally all around, because as you can see here, I'm going to admit it right now, is that Skyrim actually ends up having to be my very first Elder Scrolls game I have ever played. Like I said, I know I just previously mentioned that I did play a little bit of Oblivion, and I did play a little bit of Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, but however, I think when it came to those games, it's just like I just couldn't get into them back in that time when they first initially came out. But when it came to Skyrim, I instantly fell in love with it, and there's another reason why I fell in love with it so much. After I got it back in 2014, I didn't initially get this game right away after it came out, because I wanted to wait. I wanted to wait on what this game was going to do in terms of its forerunning franchise, as this Elder Scrolls series is known to gamers' minds. And I think that's another reason why, though, too. But however, what I really want to discuss here or mention is that I think when it comes to Elder Scrolls V Skyrim per se, other than, like the previous ones like Morrowind and Oblivion, which I heard that the expansions were really good. Especially in Oblivion, there was an expansion called Knights of the Nine, and which I did not play, obviously. Like I said when I previously mentioned that I have not played all the way through Oblivion. And that's why I was saying, I played through Elder Scrolls V Skyrim for the first time back in 2014, is because I wanted to get into this world. I wanted to get into the feeling of the Nordic Viking mythology. And I think when it comes to something like that, or even like similar to that of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is a Viking story. I think it's story, and it's that I love that game, but I finally gave up on it because of the fact that It just became too much. And it really made me feel like that, the Assassin's Creed franchise really needs to go back to its roots. And hopefully Assassin's Creed Mirage can be able to accompany that, being able to go back to the roots to where the very first Assassin's Creed back in 2007. But we're just veering a little bit off topic here. Now, what I wanted to talk or discuss about Assassin's Creed, listen to me, about Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, like I said, it's not just because of the Nordic feeling to it. It's the fact that it's the world itself. It's the structure, it's the art, it's the design, it's the concept of not just the story or the side quests, but there's a lot, and there's factions involved, and that's what I really think about the factions. Much like the Thieves Guild, much like the Dark Brotherhood, much like the Mages Guild, and all the other guilds that you can, and the Dark Brotherhood. And so I think when it came to the factions in Skyrim, I think it was they're really good. I really enjoyed the Thieves Guild and the Dark Brotherhood and the Mages Guild and the Dark Brotherhood. I think I mentioned that before. I'm sorry. But however, when I played through, here's the thing. Okay, I played through the Thieves Guild and the Dark Brotherhood in Oblivion. It was about a year ago. And they felt very much different from that of what these two guilds did in Skyrim. In Skyrim, I felt like when it came to the story and when it came to... No, it was just the story. I think the story with the Thieves Guild and the Dark Brotherhood in Skyrim was... They were good, but they were not really... But the writing was okay. It was good to its own certain degree. But when it came to Oblivion, like I said, with the Dark Brotherhood and the Thieves Guild, they were much more written. It was the concept of, there was a lot of things involved with the Thieves Guild and with the Dark Brotherhood. You would get a different type of ranking if you ended up being very good in your first part of the ranking system of that specific type of guild. And I think that's where it kind of somewhat faltered when it came to the Dark Brotherhood ranking system in Skyrim, and much like the Thieves Guild in Skyrim as well. But with the Thieves Guild in Oblivion, what I love that is that, like I said, it had a ranking system of being like a Padfoot, or I can't recall what the other rankings are. But however, you will rank higher up every single time when you do a certain amount of quests for the Thieves Guild, as it were. And it was the same thing with the Dark Brotherhood. The Thieves Guild and the Dark Brotherhood in Skyrim doesn't really do that. And it was to me, it was a little bit of a letdown. And I really wish that they would have been able to do something like that in Skyrim. But another thing, what I will say is that in Skyrim, though, they did a lot of things dumbed down in this game. They really did, because they wanted to make Skyrim a little bit more, go more towards the to newcomers or to oldcomers alike from that of the Elder Scrolls series, like fans, which I understand. But however, like I said, it's just that, I still believe that a lot of people still love Skyrim as a role-playing game, and it kind of is, however, but I do believe that when it comes to the Elder Scrolls 3 and Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, comparing that to Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim, I do believe that 3 and Oblivion are much better games because of how older they are, and how of the technology back in that time was far more, not really far more advanced, but they were ahead of their time when they first initially came out, because they just became highly popular. But as far as the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim is concerned, when this game came out 11/11/11, a lot of people were very excited. A lot of people brought this game to a high praise, and all I can say is that you can instantly tell that when it comes to these games in general, or Skyrim, It's always going to be one of this game series that it's the bread and butter of Bethesda Softworks. And I do highly believe that. I really do, because, I do, like I said, I do like some of the Fallouts. I did play through a little bit of New Vegas. I did play a little bit of Fallout 3. But Fallout 4 was actually ended up being my first Fallout game as well, much like similar to that Elder Scrolls V Skyrim back in like I said, in 2014. And I actually ended up buying the Legendary Edition for that. And now I want to tell a little bit of a brief, quick story here of why I fell in love with this game, and so instantly, because, my brother, he's 3 years younger than me. And basically, he introduced me to the Elder Scrolls series back in that time in 2011, or before Skyrim even came out. He was always talking to me about Oblivion. And so I'm like, cool, because even though if I did not like much of Oblivion because of its leveling system, because it was very intricate and was very deep and robust in its own unique way, and it's all the more reason why, that's the only reason why I didn't like Oblivion much, other than, like loving the world, loving the mechanics of that game world itself. Its artistic design, its gameplay elements, its story, its open worldness of, activating certain types of side quests. But, Skyrim is like that though too, of course, and it's the same thing with Morrowind. But however, when he said, he was always asking me, Mitch, you never played Oblivion? And I'm like, no. And so it's like, well, all right. Well, then when Elder Scrolls V Skyrim came out back in 11, like I previously mentioned, I'm like, okay, all right. And it took me it finally dawned on me after maybe about, like I said, I played this game back in 2014 for the first time ever, I remember. Because, it's funny, I just recently just dug out my PS3 version of Skyrim, the Legendary Edition. And like I said, I found my receipt in it in 2014. And that's when I picked up the Legendary Edition of Skyrim. And so all I can say is that, even though the experience was very, very exciting and very different from that of any other open world games I have played back in that time, the game was a bloody mess on the PlayStation 3. And even though I still enjoyed it, I did have a lot of hang-ups, I did have a lot of bugs and glitches, but however, like I said, I still thoroughly enjoyed it because I was immersed within this world. And so what I'm trying to say is that I think when it comes to Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, when I played it back in that time, I still felt the same way as much as of how I played Skyrim for the first time back in 2014, but however, it felt so differently. But then once I started playing more and more Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, it's just like, dude, oh my god, I can't believe why I missed this game, or why I haven't touched or played this game for 3 years? Because 3 years after the initial release. And it was very funny of why I did not think of picking it up on day one. And I'm glad I didn't, because that's when the DLC didn't come out at first, because, the game just came out. But then once I got the Legendary Edition of this game, I played all the way through the game. I played through the DLCs. I played through Dawnguard. I played through Dragonborn. And I didn't really touch on the Hearthfire stuff, which is like a building simulator type of thing, to where you get to build your own type of home, which is cool and unique. And I think that was a really good way of being able to use that home. I think it wasn't like in the main game, if you can do that. I don't know. But other than that, I still felt like that it was still a good, unique type of way to implement some building mechanics within the world of Skyrim. But overall, what I really think about this game in general, it's like, I think that this game, for what I know, has gone down in history as one of the most highest replayability game of all time, and it's well deserved, quite honestly, because I do believe that when in doubt or when in time, when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out. We don't know when that's going to be coming out, but I really like Bethesda. I think Bethesda is a really good company, but I don't know. I'm really skeptical of what's going to happen with Elder Scrolls 6 when that initially releases. And so I'm very excited for where it's going to go in terms of its, not just of its story or of its gameplay mechanics of what it's going to do, or what if there's going to be like a very different, unique, different character robust system that you can, create your character more intricately and more designed than what you initially did in Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, or Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim, or even Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, to be exact. And so it's like, that's one thing I would really like to see in 6, if and when that game ever comes out. But it's definitely going to be a while, because Bethesda is now working on Starfield, and I don't know if I'm going to be getting Starfield at some point. I'm very skeptical with that game. I watched the demo on it. However, I was somewhat impressed, but I'm still kind of worried of where that game's going to go in terms of what it wants to do as a game and how it's going to work on. And from what I understand, it's locked on 30 frames per second. And I'm just like, oh boy. So that's a whole entire can of worms. But now, I want to go back to Skyrim here real quick, though, too. Now, what I think about this game in general is, the experience that I've had. The experience was like one of the best experiences I've ever had in a game like this. Like I said, I have played multiple of open world games over the course of a decade now, and I still love those games. Like Far Cry, like Assassin's Creed, but that's why I think Skyrim, for me, will always be. It's always my favorite open world game of all time. It really, really is, because you can do so much with a game like this, other than like Oblivion or Morrowind or Fallout, that has somewhat of an intricate, unique character creation. But however, I think that it has to do with what kind of a build you do. And another thing that what really brought to my attention with Skyrim as well is the fact that, I love being a stealth archer. It's always my go-to. I don't know why. Well, actually, I do know why. Because, it's always my preferred playstyle. Whether if it's in a Far Cry, or whether if it's in, or like any other kind of game that has that type of stealth mechanics. Or, like the Metro series, they have a unique stealth system as well. But I think when it comes to Skyrim, though, I think, being that stealth archer, being able to shoot enemies from far away and not be able to get caught if you're not able to get caught, and it's so satisfying. And I think that's why I think Skyrim, it scratches that stealth itch, as it were. And that's why I think Skyrim, to me, like I said, it's my favorite game of all time. For open world games, it really is, because it's so weird of what a game can do to a person or even to a gamer. And I'm hoping that Elder Scrolls 6 can be like that, though, too. But like I said, that's still a couple years away. But that's just the way how I feel about that. But I think when it comes to Skyrim, though, I really think that this game it's amazing. I think the world building is really good, in my personal opinion. I do like its unique kind of story. Dragons, I actually think that they're not. I don't think they're dragons, really. They're wyverns, but people call them dragons, but it's whatever. But point being, I still think it's really badass that you can go up against these dragons and, and get really the appeal of that fantasy. And that's another thing why I think Skyrim is always my bread and butter as well when it comes to open world games in general, is because It's the dragons, it's the Nordic tombs, it's the adventure, it's the way how you can build a certain type of your character, whether if you're like a Khajiit, a Wood Elf, a Redguard, Nord, Orc. I mean, you have all these different races, and you can do a lot with your race and with your character, and I think that's where this game really tells of what it wants to do, like I said, and I think it does it perfectly, in my personal opinion. And so it's like, I really think, to me, Skyrim, I do highly recommend playing this game. I know a lot of people have already played this game a lot. I have now what I can remember is that when I first played this game, and I spent countless and countless of hours playing this game, and I have gotten more over than 500 plus hours in this game, and I'm just like, dude, this game is just absolutely amazing. It's amazing what a world of a game like Skyrim can do, in terms not just of what I just previously mentioned, but the exploration is endless. I mean, you have caves to delve. You can go through Nordic tombs to delve into as well. You have these really intricate and well-designed Dwemer runes, and I think it's so fascinating, guys, man. And I don't think I never really had that type of a feeling like what Skyrim does in other open world games. I think, like I said, Skyrim has always been and will always be my favorite open world game of all time. No doubt. And I'm hoping that eventually I'll want to see what Elder Scrolls 6 does. I know I keep on going back to that, but obviously, it's gonna be a whole new, brand new gameplay system, or maybe a different UI, or gameplay mechanics, or new story. But of course, every new game of the Elder Scrolls series is always gonna have a unique storyline to it. And I believe that when it comes to any kind of game out there, whether if it's an Elder Scrolls or like Horizon Forbidden West or Assassin's Creed, every single game, it's always going to have its own unique standalone story. And that's what's great about single-player games. And what I will say here, close to the end here, is that single-player games, they are not dead. I do believe that single-player games still have a good place, and they still have their own way of telling that, single player games do have their place in the gaming community. And I will say that, yes, I am a single player gamer. I do like playing some cooperative games with friends online, but however, when I don't play those types of games, I play a lot of single player games. And what I'm trying to say is that it's all right to play single player games if you're a single player gamer. And I really think that when it comes to these types of games in general, other than Skyrim, I think it's just one of those biggest things to know to yourself that, yeah, I'm fine where I'm at when it comes to single player games, or being the gamer to single player games. I think it's one of the most important things to me, in my personal opinion. But either or, I greatly appreciate of all the work I have done on my channel, and I'm very glad that I've been able to get up to 70 subscribers. Thank you guys. It's been a very big ride, and I'm hoping to achieve better greatness on here. I really do. And so, like I previously mentioned, I'm just doing this to have fun, and so it's like I'm hoping to better myself in the long run and see where we can go from here. But anyways, so much further ado, this is Citizen JV. Thank you for tuning in. Greatly appreciated. And if you have any comments or questions, please put them in the comment section below. I'll be more than happy to reply back if and whenever possible. And my apologies in advance that this is a very long video. You guys have a good rest of your night. Peace.